Hello, it's Vicar Ezekiel Grabau, and today is Monday of Lent 4. And today we're beginning a brand new hymn, a hymn that we're going to be spending a bit of time with. O dearest Jesus, what law hast thou broken? LSB 439. Let's listen to that very first stanza. We are returning to a familiar author here, Johann Herman, who wrote for us also, Jesus Grant That Balm and Healing. And he is very adept at bringing us close to the cross and considering its consequences in our life. But we have a very strange beginning here with stanza 1, because there's a question being asked, and it's repeated throughout the stanza in a couple different ways. But the basic question is, what did you do, Jesus, to deserve to die? And it's worth noting right away that this hymn is a little bit different than ones we've encountered before. Some of the themes at least, will sound similar to My Song is Love Unknown, dealing a lot with paradox and the great exchange. But instead of being addressed as sort of a testimonial to what Jesus has done, this is directed toward Jesus himself. The question is being asked of Jesus. And the whole rest of the hymn, if you look through all of the stanzas, you see that the whole thing is directed towards Jesus. It reads more like a prayer than it does a testimonial. And in that sort of context, the lines here seem tragically ironic. I'm going to read them all out for you again. O dearest Jesus, what law hast thou broken, that such sharp sentence should on thee be spoken? Of what great crime hast thou to make confession? What dark transgression? This stanza is tragically ironic because we know the answer. We know the answer is that Jesus has done nothing wrong. He hasn't broken any law. He is the one man who's come to fulfill the law. We know that he doesn't deserve the sharp sentence that is being spoken upon him. And that sharp sentence, this biting indictment, the sentence isn't a grammatical sentence, but the sentence as in a verdict. He has been condemned to death, both by the Jewish authorities and by Pilate, the Roman governor. And as we mentioned with the question we encountered in My Song is Love Unknown, normally when someone receives a sentence like that, they've done something terribly wrong. They've murdered or killed or robbed or committed treason. But we know that the answer to these questions that we're asking Jesus is no, there's nothing he's done wrong. He's committed no crime, but he's numbered among criminals. He's committed no dark transgression. He's the perfect Lamb of God without blemish. And so we're drawn immediately into the scene of Jesus being treated unjustly. And it's worth noting that not only are we drawn into this sort of rhetorically to consider this question, what has Jesus done wrong? But these questions parallel a question that Pilate asks. I'm going to read a section here from Luke chapter 23. Then Pilate called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, and said to them, You brought me this man as one who is misleading the people, and after examining him before you, behold, I do not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving death has been done by him. I will therefore punish and release him." But they all cried out together, "Away with this man, and release to us Barabbas," a man who had been thrown into prison for an insurrection started in the city, and for murder. Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus, but they kept shouting, "Crucify, crucify him!" A third time he said to them, "Why? What evil has he done? I have found in him no guilt deserving death. I will therefore punish and release him." But they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, for whom they asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will. The question that Pilate asks, and is asked actually in pretty much all of the Gospels, sometimes to Jesus directly, about what Jesus has done to deserve death, has no answer. The people can't give an answer. They simply shout for his blood. And so we see in Jesus' death this great injustice occurring as he's being handed over to death, even though there's no sin in him. Our coming stanzas will continue to highlight this injustice, especially through this sort of paradoxical exchange. We'll talk about that more with our next few stanzas. God's blessings.